Hello, everyone. Welcome to the day two of Cloud Bootcamp. We had a very fantastic day one on the bootcamp. We had some session around accessibility, web performance. We had Sabrina Design with us. We have Amber Hind with us, and we had a very successful day one. And we have a very great lineup for the day two. People from WP Rocket, from GT Metrics, Cloudflare, Debug Bear are joining on day two. Before we officially begin, I would like to see some reactions on the stage and in the comment section. You can share the emoji, you can share the GIFs as well to share your mood, how you are feeling today. I can see some reactions on the stage. Let's see the comment section and then we can start the day. There are a few people still joining us. Before we begin, I have some announcement for you all. First of all, I would like to inform you that we activate the leaderboard, so it is your chance to win some points and win big prizes. We also have some activities lined up for today, so it is your chance to participate in the activities and win big prizes. I would also like to give a shout out to our partners: GT Matrix, WP Rocket, EWW, Image Optimizer, Short Pixel, Fast Pixel, Debug Bear, and there are many others. So a big shout out to the partners as well. And I have another announcement for you that is related to the spring campaign. So Cloudways has launched the spring campaign. The promo code is high speed. I will also share the promo code in the comment section. So it's a 30% off for 5 months. So you can take advantage from this promo code. You simply have to go to the pricing page where you can see the live chat. You can connect with the pre-sales chat members. They will guide you about this spring campaign. So it is your chance to avail this campaign. I am sharing the percentage off and the promo code in the comment section, so you can take advantage from it. The session today, the first session of today is uh, on the performance side, how we can fix the 80% of the problems of the WordPress. And this topic will be covered by none other than Marko Nikolić. Marco is a part of WP Media team, and he is a part of WP Rocket team since 2015, and he is a performance expert. So, hey Marco,
Hi Danish. How are you doing?
how are you? How are you feeling about all over about this event?
Well, very excited because I was yesterday here and I saw audience is on fire, let's say. So
Yeah.
many good questions, so many activities. So I'm very happy to be part of this bootcamp.
Perfect. So without further ado, the stage is yours. You can start your presentation, Marco.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much. So hi everyone again. I'm happy to be here and I'll try to be as concise as possible in order to keep some time for your questions. I really hope you will ask some good questions and we'll have time to cover them. As Danish said, we are talking about is that possible and how we can fix 80% of WordPress performance issues in under an hour. Uh, let's dive in and start. I will share my presentation in chat. So I will do it here. And let's go. There is a statement of some people, and it's going on for the last 10, 15 years that WordPress is slow. WordPress itself is slow. And I would like to talk a little bit about that. First of all, what is WordPress for me and for a standard WordPress user? Let's say the main statement of WordPress is that it is built to democratize publishing, which means it is designed for everyone and it gives you freedom to build, change, and share your work. It gives you freedom to study how the program works and change it to fit your needs and to make whatever you want from it. So you have the freedom to work on that without limits, let's say. And the first thing when comes to my mind when I hear WordPress, and it's been last 15 or more years, is that code is poetry. What that means for me, to me, uh, code is poetry. To me, that means I can express my creativity using WordPress. No matter I want to build a website, I want to blog something, I want to write a code. I have a freedom to be creative, and that's great thing about WordPress to me, except community, which is also great. However, yeah, I like to make analogies a lot, so I will do that here as well. And let's say WordPress is one car frame that you get, and you can do whatever you want with it to build a car of your dreams. So let's say you have that car frame and you want to put some strong engine of some SUV. You want to put safety elements like Volvo, and you want to put Formula One tires on it. So I want to ask you, would you put Formula One tires on your car if you could do that? I would not, because it would probably not work and it would not make my car faster. But yes, if we go back to WordPress, you have possibility to do even these crazy things, even if they will not work. So WordPress for me is not slow, but itself. But the freedom we have to do inside WordPress could make it slower and could make it really slow. Things that can make websites slow are usually coming from what we do with that, and I divided it to some points that are mostly affecting the performance. So first, I would say it's a bad hosting choice, because if you don't have good base of your site, of your stack, it will cause problems later during the process. Then there are still people who ignore caching itself, thinking it's not needed, it's not necessary, but we live in 2026, and it's simply needed, having in mind how complex elements we have, how complex website we build, and so on. Next thing is about code. Although you have a freedom to choose the theme you want, to choose plugins you want to add to page, even to write your own code, heavy and poor quality code will mandatorily affect the website performance and make your website slow. For those people who don't know what is going on, they could blame WordPress itself as the main factor that is causing this. Also, large media files, where we simply upload images that are heavy, videos on all pages, and so on, it will affect, because if instead to load page that is 1 or 2 megabytes in weight, you load page that is 10 megabytes in weight, which will mandatorily slow down your site no matter how good connection you have. And of course, where are media files, there are other assets like CSS, JS files, and fonts. Too many, and I put a star, too many CSS, JS files, and fonts could cause your website to be slower. But it's not mandatory about the number of files, but more about how heavy they are, how complex they are, how dependent on each other they are. Today, I want to put two statements. Feel free to share on chat. Do you agree with me or you don't agree? And what is your argument for that? First one is WordPress itself is not slow. I can say that based on my experience and based on what I see on a daily basis and from my testing. And the second statement is that 80% sorry, of WordPress performance issues come from configuration problems, not WordPress itself. The question I ask you and I ask myself, it's more rhetorical question: can we speed it up within 1 hour? Let's see whether we can do it and how. Let's say you have a website. I guess most of you built a website or visited some website, actually all of you. But when you see a slow website, or if you have slow website, there are 4 things and 4 points to check first in order to analyze and to troubleshoot to see what could be the main cause of the problem. I would always start with hosting environment, because as I said before, it's about uh, the base, the foundation of your site. If your hosting is slow, like some bad shared hostings, not optimized hostings that do not have caching enabled, that has bad CPU or so, it's bad. We will cover that in next slide. Then caching. I would check if caching is enabled. I'll also let you know what are those types of caching and levels of caching we should check. But yeah, so hosting, caching. How heavy are media files on that site, on the page you're checking that is slow, and how many and how heavy, but for start, let's say, how many CSS, JS, and font files are loaded. That's just to start to see what is going on and what could be the main factor that slow down your website. And good thing is that in most of cases, solving 2 or 3 of these factors could dramatically improve performance. And if you really find one that is really critical, even solving that one could simply help you to make your website a bit faster. So yeah, hosting matters more than you think. I will mention that 3rd time because it's really important to have a good foundation. Your hosting is something that moves your website. So you moves your WordPress, moves your website, and make it and can affect it to be slow or to be fast. Some important factors to check. Now, the thing is that we probably could not solve this in 1 hour. If your hosting is bad and cannot be upgraded, you need to change it. It will take more time, but we need to mention it as because of its importance. So just a few important factors to check about hosting, about your server is what is CPU speed and power, because it is the main factor that will define the speed of actions your website do through the communication, and when you browse the website, when you build something, when when someone want to buy your product on e-commerce website or so. Then disk input output, which is communication and how quickly the server could write the files, take the files, and update them. Server cache, is it active or not? Is it available on the server at all? And we'll go back, I said, to these caching factors and caching layers that could be and that probably should be implemented to each hosting. PHP version, Sabrina Zaidan yesterday had a good presentation where she really mentioned about differences in speed between PHP 5.6, 7.x, and the newest one, the current active PHP version 8.4, which is ridiculous how faster things are in this newest version. So it would be good. I saw some hosting that still offer even 5.6, which is ridiculous. Database performance, it's quite same. If database is not optimized, if processes in communication of your WordPress with database is not optimized, it will slow down things. And server location. If your audience is local, you should choose a server that had hosting that offers several data centers nearby. So if I'm from Europe, I should choose a server from Europe and not from USA or so. If my audience is wider and across the world, you should choose CDN or Cloudflare or things that would share and keep your assets, your website basically to closer locations to your visitors. I recommend, I didn't mention Cloudflare as separate point here in the presentation, but I highly recommend using Cloudflare for many other factors, security and so on, and it's free. So I would always recommend to use it. Caching. Caching, we can say, if there is no cache, you have instant performance problems. Why? Because if you don't have page caching or object caching, every page will be dynamic, which means WordPress will handle and will put actions to communicate through PHP with database every time you visit the page, which is not good, and in most of cases it's not necessary. So you should have page caching. If you don't have object caching, but you have some complex e-commerce website where people simply buy things all the time, you will probably have, or you have backend processes that are repeated all the time, you should consider using database object caching, because you can cache most of these all of these repeating database actions in your memory and through object caching, and simply speed up the things. It will make your server less using less resources and make it faster. Browser caching is something different. It tells your browser, it will allow your browser to keep assets like media, CSS, JS, and fonts, and deliver them from browser cache to you next time you visit the page. So you go to one page, if you have browser caching, it will simply keep it in the browser. And next time you visit the page, you don't need to request these files from the server. It will be stored in the browser. So yeah, we have, just to say one thing, one explanation. When I said here without page and object caching, when I say page caching, I don't mean only about disk caching. So like WP Rocket does, for example, we store cache files in WP content cache folder. I think about server cache as well, like Varnish, Nginx, Fast CGI, because sorry, these are also basically create page cache files and put it in memory, usually in memory, and then simply deliver. When you visit the site, the cache version is delivered through the server caching. Page caching, as I said, it's through the WordPress, and usually placed in WP content cache folder, like WP Rocket does, and some other plugins, caching plugins do. Browser caching, as I mentioned, it's something different. You cannot say whether you cannot ask you, for example, whether should I choose page caching or browser caching. These are different levels of cache, or object caching. You could have all three of them, and sometimes it will be mandatory if your website is heavy and it depends on these. You have a lot of these communication with database and so on. So you should always have page caching, whether it's going to be through the server or through disk cache. Browser cache, it's, I think, mandatory, and it's so easy. Today, most of hosting simply offer its mode expires on a patch, and it's simply there. And object caching. Media files, it's last couple of years, it's known that people add really a lot of media files, images, videos, and so on to websites without optimizing them and without paying attention to some details that are crucial. And media files could be 80% of your website, your page weight. So most common mistakes people make is that they add heavy images without compressing them before uploading, not correctly size images in terms of dimensions, do not lazy load them, which is okay, which can be solved, and now it's solved in WordPress native. We'll talk about that, but still, and heavy videos used on page. So you add a lot of videos or some heavy videos because you want to make some effect, but it really affects your performance, especially on mobile. Fixes. Luckily, there are tools that could help you fix these problems if you make them, if you don't plan correctly, if it can help you fix afterwards. Imagify is one of them that can help you compress images, but there are also other good tools like EWWW, Image Optimizer, Short Pixel, so you can choose whatever you want to compress your images. Instead of having 1 megabyte image, you can have, but by just compressing them with one click, you can have like 200 kilobytes image. Proper size image, this is done by WordPress, and I will show you quickly what is it about. So if I go to this speed test, we have improve image delivery recommendation that affects the score. And if I go here, you see this image file is larger than it needs to be. This image is 768x512 pixels, but on the page itself, it's rendered as 634 pixels wide, which means WordPress has created this thumbnail that is showing on page, but it could be reduced to this. To do it, to fix it, you can create a new thumbnail size that will match this dimension. It will help you speed up. It will help you speed up the website and pass this audit from Page Speed Insights. How WordPress does this, basically, I will show you here. We have this image, and now you see a lot of different sizes of images here. It's done through source set from WordPress and through sizes. So WordPress will basically see which dimension you are visiting the page with. Is that mobile? Is that desktop? Is that tablet? And deliver from its existing thumbnails, it will deliver the right size of image to fit your needs. However, if you don't have exactly this one or more close to this one size, Page Speed Insights will mark that as potentially problematic. So you can take action to manually create a new thumbnail that will be more close to this. You can do it by planning a little more when you create websites. Lazy load off-screen images. Lazy load is introduced in WordPress a couple of versions ago, and it now natively supports lazy load. But you can use other tools like WP Rocket or alternatives. Even there are some free lazy loading plugins that can help you lazy load. And why it exists if there is native lazy load? Well, because with native lazy load, you cannot lazy load CSS background images. You cannot control, as far as I know, threshold. So when you scroll down, how to control how quickly will the images below the fold load when your scrolling action get them closer. And replace videos with preview thumbnail. So this is something I want to show you directly without further explanation. If I go to this page, here I have the one YouTube video, and if you check this, I can choose these elements of the video. There is the iframe, so YouTube video is loaded or its scripts are loaded. However, in WP Rocket, we have this replace YouTube iframe with preview image. So what it does, basically, if I go to cached version and I scroll down, I choose this, so I don't have YouTube elements and I don't have iframe. I only have one thumbnail image. So this is image that is loaded. No scripts are loaded, no iframe, nothing. But if you click, YouTube will load. And that's it. CSS, JavaScript, and fonts, probably the most problematic elements, and maybe I would say most hard to solve because of its complexity. In last couple of years, let's say 7, 8 years, maybe JavaScript became so popular, so much used, even whether it's needed or not needed, and it it is it became very heavy, let's say, if not used properly. Uh, and now the problem with CSS, JavaScript, and font files are that they are render blocking the page loading. So to show you directly, if I go to non-cached version, and if I refresh, you see, and to show you this, here you will see LCP is almost 3 seconds. Largest contentful pane, that's the most important element of the page that should be first shown and quickly shown to visitor because it affects the perceived performance. So in this case, it's this image. LCP element is this image. And here, you load the document. There is JavaScript, CSS, actually font files load through CSS, another CSS, and then LCP image. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4 assets loaded before the LCP image. Now imagine the complex. This is just a simple installation of WordPress, but imagine complex websites that have 50, 60 CSS and 50, 60 JS files, which I see every day, basically. How that could affect your performance. And now we'll go with most effective fixes. Some of them are easy, some of them are better or not, or some are less good, less effective. So let's see. Minify CSS and JavaScript files. Basically, in these days, it will not affect your performance too much because most of files are already minified. In fact, in good teams, teams and plugins, who every little experienced and just a good developer, solid developer will know how to and will know that it's needed to minify their files. So for example, this file main.min CSS, it's already minified. Page title.min.css, it's already minified. So there is no need to minify it further. Although tools like WP Rocket still has option to minify CSS and JS because there are still many files that are not minified. Whether sometimes it's simply a must to keep it not minified, but it's very rare situation. Then defer and delay JavaScript loading. So this is quite good technique to reduce perceived loading of JavaScript and to allow you to load your HTML as quickly as possible. So, for example, if I refresh this page, I'll go just with JS. So you see all these files are loaded. All JavaScript files. If I go to cached version and I will go just with JS and I will refresh the page. Okay, just a few of them, and this is from Chrome extension. Another one. These are not JS files from team basically. But if I do an action here, just tap or scroll, you will see JavaScript files loaded here. Preview. I go here. Yeah. So loaded just after user interaction. It is caused by, and it's made possible by delayed JavaScript execution. What it does, it will not load JavaScript before you make action on the page. Why it's good? Because JavaScript will not be loaded at all, and it will not affect. It should not affect your website. So, for example, uh, if I refresh the page and this image is actually a slider, let's say, and JavaScript is used to load it, that file should be excluded from delaying, because it will affect the perceived performance and people will not see image before they make action. Still, this file, this JavaScript file that is responsible for this image, let's say, just imagine loading, can be deferred, because deferring is a bit different. It will just allow HTML to load, and they will load, let's say, together, but it will be fired. So it will still do its action, while delaying JavaScript will not until you do some user interaction. In most of cases, it will not, no one will notice it, because most JavaScript related actions are done whether below the page or whether are not so visible, not affecting the layout itself. Remove unused CSS is my favorite, probably favorite feature from WP Rocket and from other tools that offer it. It's usually premium, let's say, feature, because it requires your server to fetch the website, to divide CSS, use CSS from unused CSS, and to put it back. So basically, what it does, I will show you example again. I guess that's the best way. So if I refresh the non-cached version here, you will see these CSS files. 1, 2, 3, 5. Okay, 5. But as I said, there are many websites that has like 20, 30 or more CSS files. On the other hand, we have a cached site, and we have remove unused CSS applied. So use CSS is created. You have 0 CSS files. Why? Because if I go and check page source, I will go to CSS file is put in style tag in one inline CSS block. And the good thing is that this is only used CSS, only the CSS that is used on that page. All the other unnecessary, unneeded CSS code is stripped off and it's not there. So you have two benefits from it. You don't have HTTP requests to load CSS, and you have inline CSS that's only the one that's used on the page. So you can drastically speed up the website. I said this is my favorite feature, basically favorite thing that speed up the site. There is also loading CSS asynchronously, but I will not mention that because I highly recommend using remove unused CSS. You can preload above the fold assets. This is very important when we talk about, let's say, this image again. I will show you again through example. If you go here, this image, it's because LCP. If you see cached version here of the page, LCP is 1.6 on mobile. It should be, yeah, 0.3. Why? Because this image, first of all, is not lazy loaded. Why is not lazy loaded? Because it's visible immediately. If you lazy load it, it will slow down the site, slow down the loading of that image and affect the perceived performance. The second one is that this image is preloaded by adding fetch priority high. And I will show you in the this way. You see, please remember these, these fonts are also preloaded. I will let you know why in a minute. And we have this image is preloaded. So this is the LCP element image. So WP Rocket basically will fetch the LCP image, it will preload it, and it will exclude it from lazy load because it's visible immediately. And fonts preloaded is also part of WordPress action because we preload those fonts that are used on above the fold on the visible part of the page. Yeah, I use 3 fonts. Sorry about that, but this is just for testing. Uh, I should not use separate fonts for H1, H2, and for the body. But yeah, I did it. Sorry. And host fonts locally. I mean, there is WP Rocket can do it, but also there are some other good plugins that could do it that simply take Google Fonts to your local to the server and delivers them from there. Sorry. So basically, this way you eliminate HTTP requests, and you have some more benefits like GDPR related. And now, just before I end, I want to tell you that performance is not magic. It is planning, discipline, and responsibility, which means it would be ideal if you could plan when and think about performance in early stages when you build your website. So because that way you will eliminate the most of issues that comes later. Although you can speed up the website in 1 hour, the question is how much, and that how much depends on the way you built your website from the beginning. Thank you very much. I'm not sure if we have time, but I really hope we have at least for some questions. If not, connect on LinkedIn, or I'll try to answer to Q&A.
So thank you so much, Marco, for the insightful session. And as a performance learner and with a development background, I must say the presentation is very insightful, and there are a lot of things we can implement on our websites. So if I can see on the Q&A tab, there are a lot of questions for you. I can show some of the questions here, so you can answer. After that,
Okay.
I would request you to hang around on the comment section and answer some of the burning questions.
Will do. Will do.
The question is from Ferrando. He is asking what tools you recommend to safely detect unused CSS on a live WordPress site.
Good question. Well, I use WP Rocket because I work there and it simply does the work for me. The thing is, most of these tools are that does the change that strips out the use CSS are paid, as I said, because you need the engine that will divide them. But to safely detect unused CSS, I'm not sure. There is, I remember for asynchronous CSS loading, we were using like, what was the name of it? You just go and to Google and search. But I can investigate and uh, let you know in the comments, or we can simply connect to LinkedIn, because I simply use it in WP Rocket, and that solves my problem. So you can use it. You can, maybe it's ideal for me. It's worth to invest for that feature. Whether doesn't mean it should be WP Rocket. It could be some other tool that does it.
Perfect. Margot, as I said, there are a lot of questions for you, so you can reply all those questions in the Q&A tab. We are right on time. I would like to say thanks to you for such insightful presentation. So, audience, this is Marko Nikolić was explaining how you can solve the 80% of the problems of your WordPress website. We have a next session on varnish, and I agree with Marco. Like as he said, the CDN and the cache is very important for your website performance. That is why we bring people from Cloudflare and we bring people from Varnish as well. The next session is by Thais Ferry on how you can improve your core web vitals using Varnish. So stay tuned. We will be right back in a few minutes with another session.
See you. Bye.